Hello again, friends. I decided to do another vlog today. And the reason why I'm doing the vlog is because I wanted to catch people up on my opinions and thoughts about Vanguard right now. I have several issues that have been keeping me from playing the game. A lot of family stuff, a lot of tournaments happening lately, a lot of me just doing really poorly in tournaments. So there's plenty of reasons behind what's going on, and I'm going to explain those in a little bit. But the first thing that I wanted to really talk about is that I just got an offer to have my YouTube channel monetized, and the offer that I got was something stupid like $1 every 1,000 views or whatever. And I'm like, I have 126,000 views on my channel. That means that if I do 7 years worth of work again, I'll probably make like $100. That doesn't sound like it's worth turning ads on and pissing off all of my fan base. So I decided against it. And I don't think I'm ever going to monetize my channel. I don't really want to because this is a hobby for me. I don't need the supplementary income, and I don't feel like I want to put ads on my page. It's just eh. So pushing past that, I think I'm going to turn down all subsequent offers to monetize my channel. It's not something I'm looking to do. So I wanted to push on to the topic of tournaments. As you guys know, it's tournament season. We're about to do nationals. I'm hopefully going to be judging nationals this year. And I ended up playing in both the Chicago and the Tennessee tournaments. And one of the reasons why I've been so down in the dumps with Vanguard is because, as any of you who have read my blog have seen, I was at Chicago and I was playing a Glindios deck. And for the first game, I ended up being grade locked against my opponent at grade 0 for one turn. I top decked into a reverse unit on my very first turn. I pitched it, checked top 5, there were no grade 1s. I shuffled my deck, attacked since I went second, got my drive check, it was the grade 1 that I needed to ride, and then we played the game after that. Except he also double crit me at 3 damage. For the first time ever, I 5th damage healed out of that, so I ended up still being able to be alive, but the score was 5-2. I ended up pressuring him and catching up, and the score was, I had taken 6 damage, he had taken 7 damage, and I went to push for game, and I couldn't secure it because I didn't hit a trigger. And then he also had a Raging Form Dragon in hand, too, actually, the entire game, and he damage checked 2 of them, so I'm like, he doesn't have a Raging Form, I'll overguard his Vanguard, and then I'll be good. And then he just popped it down. I was like, fuck. So it is what it is. I lost that game, but I was sad because it was crit Drag Ruler. I know that it was a Raging Form build primarily, and he didn't actually see Drag Ruler, but he played one on Rearguard, and I was just like, what the hell are you doing? And I guess I can't really complain because I lost to it. I want to complain. I really do, but I'm not going to. The second person I played was a Bermuda Triangle player. And I did not hit a grade 3 the entire, well, I hit reverse units, but I didn't hit a Glindios the entire game. And I had playtested my deck 35 times before the day, and I had not been grade locked a single time. So when I went out there and I was playing the deck, and turn 1, I pitch a reversed unit, I search top 5, no Glindios. Damage check, Glindios. Okay, that sucks. Turn 2, pitch a reverse unit, check top 5, no Glindios. Shuffle my deck, second damage check, Glindios. And I'm just like, deck, why? So after 4 pitches and not getting Glindios, I was grade stuck at 2 the entire game. Final score was 7-8. They took 7 damage, or 7-6. They took 7 damage, I took 6 damage, and I still lost. So I'm just like, I wonder what would have happened if my opponent hadn't hit heal triggers, because I rushed them because I had a lot of grade 1s and 2s in my hand. So I just went for an early game, and I kept getting, solid rear guards, because they were attacking to my rear guards, so they were trying to put pressure on me, and it was working, but I kept toolboxing out all of these rear guards because I couldn't get a Vanguard. And I did more damage to both of my opponents than I took, even though I did end up 6 damage healing out of a double crit on the second game. And on that third game, I would have been able to survive that turn and go for another turn. I don't think I would have won because I didn't have a grade 3, but I would have been able to survive, but I was at 3 damage, and they double crit me again. Because I remember they had the restanding Bermuda Vanguard, they attacked, and I was like, as long as you don't double crit, I'm good. Double crit. Oh, okay. So, frustrating. Vanguard is very frustrating. So in Nashville, I played Ripple Rush, and then won games 1 and 3. Game 2, I was playing against Draw Trigger using Break Ride Blauklugers. So it was Mon Blaukluger and Galaxy Blaukluger. And if anyone knows me, they know that I really, really have strong opinions about that deck. I feel like it should always be at least 12 critical, and you really should be running Stern over Mon. Mon really doesn't help Galaxy at all. And if your opponent doesn't field front row rear guards, then you can't even attack, so you're just wasting your counter. Like, if you're playing as Murakumo, or if you're playing as Bermuda Triangle, that deck literally does nothing. You're just break riding to get 10,000 power for 1 turn. It's not good. It's not good, I'm sorry. So, when I play the deck, I run 16 critical triggers, and then go Stern into Galaxy, and then I drop any other counterblasting units, so I don't run the Mars Blaukluger. He's not bad, but after turn 3, by himself when he restands, he's just 14k, that's 5k to guard, unless you're swinging him into a rear guard. He's not that useful. Your counterblast should be safe for your restanding effects. Stern is all about pressure, 16 criticals in the game right then and there. If your Vanguard hits, you win. It should be a very simple deck. People don't run it that way. That aside, that opponent took 8 damage from me and still lived. He hit 2 defensive draws, 2 offensive critical triggers, and then a mix of offensive and defensive heals, 3 of them. So I'm sitting here, I'm playing Ripple Rush. I have 6 health. I have 6 life, whatever you want to call it. I can take 6 damage and then I lose. I lose at 6 damage. And you know what? That's the deck I chose to pick. I don't run heal triggers, that's fine. I mean, I'm not going to complain about you hitting a heal trigger. Maybe 2, but if I'm playing the game and you have 9 fucking health, you have 150% of my life total. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's how Vanguard has been for me lately. Round 4, this is embarrassing. This is an embarrassment. I don't even have an excuse. I rode up to grade 3, even though I was playing a rush deck and I had 3 grade 3s in my hand, and that sucks. But, you know, I rode up to grade 3. I didn't get grade locked, and I played a game against 8 draw Neo Nectar. 8 draw Neo Nectar, and I lost that game. I don't know why. I don't know how. I can't explain it to you. Looking back on it, I must be the worst Vanguard player in the world, possibly the universe. I know that it's an embarrassment. I don't really have a good excuse. I'm just sitting here like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't play competitive Vanguard. There's nothing I can do. I will get screwed over by my bad luck consistently. It's almost hilarious how I lost to every single deck that I say is bad, pretty much, on a consistent basis, because it has nothing to do with how bad my decks are, because people are like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't play Ripple Rush because it doesn't have heal triggers and has less grade 3s than normal. And I'm like, okay. So what about the guy who played Ripple Rush in Chicago, which he knocked out one of my friends? He made it all the way to round 7 before he got eliminated. That's a pretty damn good run, considering he was the only person using that deck out of about 400 people this year. It's not that the decks that I play are bad, it's that I'm incredibly unlucky and I chose a really bad hobby for, you know, what I have as a dump stat, which is luck. And I know that this sounds pretty whiny and butthurty. I'm really not butthurt about it anymore. I might have been at the time. But right now, I just think it's kind of funny. So I decided that I was going to shift my focus and try and play other card games. And the card game that has taken all of my focus lately has been Buddyfight. I am fucking in love with Buddyfight. It is the most fun card game right now for me. And I consider it probably one of the best design card games I've ever seen. But I'll address that towards the end of the discussion. Is anyone else talking with me? So what I wanted to cover was actual Vanguard stuff and keep it focused on Vanguard, how I feel about the new stuff that's coming out, and I'm going to start off by talking about Legion again. I know that Legion wasn't completely fleshed out when I last spoke about it, which was when Set 17 was starting to be spoiled for Japan, and the thing is, nothing's really changed. There's so many clans that only have 1 Legion, and it really doesn't make any sense. Bushiroad just kind of had this really, really short season, kind of to get English caught up, I guess. But then they're just going crazy in Japan because they've had so little product being sold. So I don't really see it working out the way that Bushiroad was saying it was going to work out. And I'm not really sure where all of these clans are going to be while they're sitting in limbo, just not having legions, not really having any support. So The thing that really bothers me is that the Tier 1 and Tier 2 splits that I talked about previously are completely official now. There's not much left to be said about how they're choosing to support their clans when Grand Blue's last Triple R was in Set 6, and Mega Colony will only ever have one Triple R in Set 4, and that's Giraffa. Giraffa will always be the rarest Mega Colony card. Just sit back for a moment and let that sink in. Giraffa. Giraffa. Well, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but when they're going to under-support these clans and make them Tier 2 and not give them as strong of support as the other clans around them, I really do feel like Bushiroad is just being neglectful. Maybe it's just because I really love Grand Blue and Mega Colony, but I really wish that they would push forward and evenly distribute support to the clans, or at least, you know, make Tier 2 clans the same, because it's like Aquaforce. Aquaforce is a main character clan, but it gets support every other set. It's not every single set. So that's fair. Shadow Paladins and Pale Moon and kind of Dark Irregulars are kind of Tier 1.5 considered clans for support, and they get support like twice a season. That's cool. But then you have like Mega Colony. We weren't even sure if they were getting support in Season 3. They didn't get support in Season 4, other than one Legion for the Legion campaign where they gave everyone a Legion. So I'm just like, I'm sad because my favorite clans all happen to be like the absolutely supported clans, other than Murakumo. I don't really like Murakumo because I don't see how you could. Their Legion's nice though. Moving on to the new mechanics, I wanted to talk about Delete. I really love Delete as a mechanic. I think it's perfectly well balanced. And I've mentioned this previously. I've always thought it was a great mechanic. The only thing that pisses me off is now that Stride is official, and it's going to be something that every single clan has, it became instantaneously invalidated, and that pisses me off. Why are you making this new mechanic, and then in the exact same booster, creating another new mechanic that instantly invalidates it? I mean, I could understand the lock versus unlock, because locking destroyed many, many decks. There are a lot of rearguard dependent decks, and locking just shut them down completely, and there wasn't anything that they could do about it. And I mean, that kind of makes sense. I don't feel like that's the right way to go about it. I feel like locking should have been costed more properly, or there should have been other ways to work around it. But all of that aside, Delete did not need anything to invalidate it. I feel like if you're going to stride over a deleted unit, you should only have the stridden unit's power. But they're just like, he gets face up and then he gets all the power. Why? What did Delete do wrong? It's such a good mechanic. So that was one thing that kind of pissed me off. I was worried that striding was going to always be in stand, so I was worried for Mega Colony for a second there, but it turns out that the stridden unit does retain the state of the previous unit that it was ridden on. So if you do happen to stun their Vanguard with Mega Colony, then it will remain stunned, which is a nice thing, because if they also invalidated Mega Colony's new mechanic, I would have been pissed off even more, and I would have just been like, fuck you, Bushiroad, because I probably would have been done with the game at that point, because that would have been inexcusable, in my opinion. I still think it's inexcusable that Delete is just invalidated before it even has a chance to shine, but So talking more in depth about Stride, to me, my opinion on it is that it's the exact same thing to Legion as Legion was to Break Riding. It's not an invalidation by power creep. It's not something that makes the previous cards no longer useful or usable. But the inherent lack of synergy that Striding has with Legioning is annoying. If you Stride, your Vanguard's no longer in Legion, so all of your on-Legion skills, gone. Legioning takes place during the main phase, so you can't even just shuffle the 4 cards back and then be in Legion. So you have to choose between having a Legion Vanguard and Striding. These two things are mutually exclusive. And for one to be the previous set support and the next to be the current set support, and just having them not be able to mesh whatsoever, it's really, really dumb. I don't feel like they're taking this game the right direction as far as that's concerned. I mean, I am glad that, you know, the Vanguard stun is still in place and that Stride hasn't completely broken the game. And Stride in and of itself really isn't that big of a problem. The only issue is that there's so many different mechanics and none of them really work that well together except for maybe Break Riding. And the only reason why break riding has come back is because of the limit break enablers, because, in my opinion, Legion did invalidate break riding because break riding was a dumb mechanic. Waiting until you're at 4 damage to be able to do anything is really dumb, and it also caused you to play the game improperly where you couldn't guard early, and you were just wasteful so that you could have damage to make damage your resource. But damage as a resource should not really be something that you push yourself for early and then have to dish out more guard for later. It just became like a suicide fest to see who could kill themselves faster to kill the other person faster. I don't really feel like that's the proper way to play the game, and I've never really felt that way, which is why I did like Legion, because Legion was forcing people to guard early so that they could have 4 units in their drop zone to Legion back, and it was causing the skill cap of the game to increase significantly, and it stopped punishing you for doing the correct things. All things that make me as a player extremely happy. But when you look back at it, Stride doesn't break ride over a unit. Legion and break riding kind of didn't mesh together, but now that we have the limit break enablers, Legion and break riding do actually go fairly well together. Especially Negro Bolt and the break ride for Grand Blue. Yeah, those are pretty good together. I was also going to say, break riding can work actually with Stride, as long as your break ride skill is something that's worth using without the bonus power. So, it's obviously Dauntless Drive Dragon's not going to work because your Vanguard power and restand won't really apply to your Stridden unit. But if you have something that applies to field control, drawing cards, or giving your rear guards bonus power, as long as that effect is not on your Vanguard like Great Nature's is, then you can actually break ride and then stride. You'll lose the break ride power, but you'll gain the stride power, and then you can still use whatever your break ride skill is. So that would be useful for, say, your Gancelots, your Dantalions. It'd be useful for your Infinite Zeros and your Weathercloth? Yeah, Weathercloth. So you have all of these different break rides that can still be useful in a stride-based deck. But of course we have another new type of unit, which are the stride enablers, I guess you would call them. I don't know if they have an official term or not, but units that when you stride over them, they give the Stridden Vanguard a skill. And those are going to, of course, be your break ride targets. So I feel like all of those work together and mesh together in a nice way. I just don't like that Legion has so quickly become something that doesn't work with how the game wants to push itself towards. So you essentially have to choose between a Legion focusing deck that doesn't really stride unless you need to pitch out grade 3s as a last-ditch effort in order to try and restructure your hand. So all in all, I am a little bit disappointed that so few of the cards work together properly. And the only thing that makes me happy about it is that, again, we have this situation where the person who goes second rides to grade 3 second, and then they can stride immediately too. So stride still has that same thing with legioning, where the person who goes second gets that advantage, which I think is absolutely mandatory. Because going first in this game, as I've written on my blog, is something that is extremely powerful. Overpowered. And I'm glad that they're doing things to keep it in check a little bit. However, I can't really see Legion staying in the meta after this point, because striding is incredibly easy to accomplish. All you need is a grade 3, one of your many 7K grade 1 units that you can pitch, and they count as grade 3s when you pitch them. There's so many things to just enable striding, get it going so early and so fast, and then the triple drive just gives you more cards in your hand, and you really don't have a reason to ever run out unless you just get unlucky. So I should probably stick to Legion. Everyone else can run stride. But I'm not saying that it makes Legion-based decks invalidated, but you're still going to be running the stride units anyway because of G-Assist. And I am glad that they decided to make G-Assist. I think that G-Assist is something that the game's been needing for a really long time. That being said, G-Assist does absolutely nothing to limit the amount of striding that someone's going to do, because there's no way that you're striding 6 times in a game, and that's how many you have after G-Assist. You have 8 otherwise. I'm not actually expecting that to be a thing. Well, honestly, I'm not sure if I'd actually play stride. I feel like Legion would be better for my playstyle because I love to guard early. I love shuffling my triggers back into my deck to increase my consistency of hitting triggers because I know I need the help. And I like to play decks that are more Kage Royal styled. I know that that's definitely the playstyle that I feel is the most powerful for me. Excuse me, powerful for me. And with the addition of new vanilla 8K units for pretty much every clan that's getting support now, I'm going to have 8 vanilla 8Ks in my Royal Paladin deck. That's going to be beast mode. I am super excited for this because 4 perfect guards and then 8 vanilla 8Ks, and then I have plenty of 10Ks. I can run a monoclan Kage Royals deck, and then I'll have 2 7K grade 1s that I can ditch for striding. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be incredible. I am looking forward to that. But all the same, I still feel like I'm going to focus more on the Legion mechanic itself and only pitch grade 3s if I have extras or if I need the card advantage for stride or maybe to push for game. The main reason why I would want to run stride and why I like the Legion era units would be for mixed decks. However, the first thing that bothers me is that they've made it so that mixed decks are not hard to make whatsoever. Anyone can come out there and make a mixed deck. I saw that they did an extreme tournament and one person pretty much just put every on Legion grade 2 in existence in their grade 2 slots, and they just beat the crap out of people with Ogre. And that was the end of it. That was literally just the end of it. I think they used Ogre and maybe Cat Butler with Nova Grappler grade 3s for legioning purposes. Yeah, there wasn't too much else left after that point. They just kind of stomped the rest of the competition because nobody was using mixed decks. They were just using their Barkle decks. And I'm like, you literally are playing a set 1 deck just because it's finally legal again against all of this set 16 and 17 nonsense. I mean, Barkle is banned for a reason because you shouldn't have a free ride to grade 2. I mean, I think it makes sense. It also sets up Exculpate, which is a dumb card. But all the same, that in and of itself, played with a set 1 style Royal Paladin deck, is not going to be competitive in a set 17 meta. That's just how it's going to be. I mean, Power Creep just went crazy in set 14, and it never stopped. Set 13, set 14. That's pretty much what I have to say on Vanguard. I would like to discuss why Buddyfight makes me excited in ways that it shouldn't. I've been having an immense amount of fun playing Buddyfight. One of my closest friends, Danny, he ended up deciding that he no longer wanted to play Vanguard. And it was sad for me because it's pretty much me, Danny, and my other friend Daniel, who's my BFF. We all play locally, and we always were playing Vanguard together. And when Danny shifted over to Buddyfight, another one of our friends, Danny's roommate Kenny, also got into Buddyfight. And then Daniel was like, I don't really want to jump on board. I'm too busy playing Vanguard. It's too fun for me. I enjoy the sack factor. And I don't really want to dump money on another game. And, you know, that makes sense. But then we pretty much just handed him a deck, and he was like, I'm in. So now the 4 of us have been playing a lot of Buddyfight together, and it's been making me super happy. I don't know what else to say. So Danny's been playing Legend World, Ancient World, and Danger World. I've been playing everything else and Legend World too. Darkness Dragon World for the other 2. And we've just been having a good old time playing Buddyfight. And then Daniel and I have been going to all of the regional tournaments, and Daniel kept using my Thunder Knights deck. And he actually won a round, which was kind of impressive. We ended up going to the Chicago regional tournaments. I ended up getting knocked out in round 4 by Brandon. Fuck you, Brandon. And, I mean, it was still a good time. I ended up getting top 8 in Nashville, which was kind of cool because I was playing an incomplete Magic Burn deck. And I just like that you can actually have a viable burn deck now. A lot of people didn't consider it viable because they weren't using the correct cards. At least that's how I want to view it. Because a lot of people who played Burn would go for the 72 Pillars because of Diabolical Hardcore, which deals 3 damage for 3 gauge. The problem is you never have 3 gauge. So I switched over to the Wizard support for Kosher, which gives you the gauge that you need and cycles through your deck. And by using that and Drago Wizard Burning Wand and Drago Wizard Keenus Axia, I was able to deal about 4 or 5 consistent damage on turns that I wanted to finish my opponents off. And you've probably seen a lot of my videos lately. They're all Magic Burn. Every single one of them has been Magic Burn lately. I'm going to start uploading videos of other Buddyfight deck profiles and deck lists. And I'm going to start doing some real-life Buddyfight stuff, hopefully to raise more awareness for that, because I'm trying to push Buddyfight really hard. I don't want Buddyfight to die. It's the most fun game for me right now. All that aside, I don't want to neglect Vanguard, which is why, like I said earlier, I was making this video. I don't really have too much else to say other than, like I said, I'm not quitting Vanguard, but I am slowing down significantly. I'll probably do deck lists here and there, but with me knowing that they're going to be banning mixed decks in English, like, it's not official, but it might as well be. The second they ban mixed decks, I'm going to be out. I know I am. Like, not quit, but just, I don't feel like I'll have the passion that I had before, because mixed decks really are what made this game fun for me. Doing the unusual things, not necessarily just for the sake of being a hipster, but more for the sake of being a Johnny. I just love finding strategies, doing things that people wouldn't necessarily think of to make good combos. Like Tom and Jerry is one of my favorite decks of all time just for that reason, because it gave me a cool alternative win condition in a game that you wouldn't even think would have an alternative win condition. I mean, I know Glendios came out, and that's another alt win condition, but this was a legitimate you do not have a perfect guard, you lose kind of deal. And when I can make decks that are so unique like that, that people wouldn't necessarily think of, it did give me a lot of fulfillment as far as playing the card game was concerned. But as it stands right now, I could make the best damn deck that nobody would ever think of, and then I'd get grade locked with Glendios somehow. Glendios and G-Assist, and drawing 7 cards from my deck for no reason. I'd still get grade locked. So it is what it is. I picked the wrong hobby, like I said. Luck is my dump stat. As far as Buddyfight's concerned, you would think, hey Tim, you couldn't possibly get screwed over in Buddyfight because there's no getting grade locked. Well, for those of you who've seen my Nashville tournament report, you would know that there's a card in Buddyfight called Brave Equipment Glory Seeker, and its effect is when my opponent's life hits 0, they reveal the top card of their deck. If that card is a spell, they gain 3 life and destroy Glory Seeker. My opponents in the first 3 rounds lived off of Glory Seeker 7 times. So they 6 damage healed 7 times in 3 games. Well, not 3 games, in 7 games. 7. Yeah, 7 games, because one of them was 2-1, and then I lost 0-2 in the 3rd round, and then I won 2-0 in the other round. Yeah. So I can't even avoid it. I can't even avoid it in Buddyfight, but you know what? At least I'm still having fun. I think that after a break from Vanguard, I'll come back to it and it will be fun again, because there are some monoclan decks that are actually pretty fun to play now. Nubatama is going to be getting that next critical trigger, and then that will make that playable again too. That way I don't have to tech into Mega Colony in order to have my 12 crit build. Oh, that's pretty much all I have for now. If you guys want me to talk about anything else in particular, I can do that. As far as Vanguard, I'm not done with Vanguard, like I said. I will be coming back to it, and I will be making more builds. I'm just slowing down in place of Buddyfight. And if you like Buddyfight, then awesome, things are going to get better. If you came to my channel just for Vanguard, I'm sorry. I'm not done, but it's not going to necessarily be the same quantity of content. And I've hit dead zones in Vanguard before, where I've gone like 2-3 months without posting anything on both my blog and my YouTube. And I know that sucks for people who are trying to follow me and who are really interested in what I do. So I do apologize for that. I hope that I can reconcile with this a little bit, and hopefully I'm going to see if I'm not certain if I'm judging the event, if I will be able to record gameplay or not. But I'm going to try and see if I can't do a tournament report for Continentals this year, and hopefully that'll make up for some of the lack of Vanguard content that I've had lately. Well, with that being said, I am done for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Goodbye.